Welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage. This podcast is dedicated to helping attorneys earn more money, get better clients, and spend more time with family. I'm your host, Alay Yajnik, founder of Law Firm Success Group. Smart business guidance for small law firms begins in 3, 2, 1. And it's my pleasure to welcome to Lawyer Business Advantage Chelsea Pagan, partner at Hepner and Pagan. Chelsea, how are you doing today?
I'm good. It's Friday. This is my admin day and getting caught up. I just feel like it's the perfect way to start the weekend. So, I love Fridays.
TGIF.
Yes.
And it's also the start of a new year. And that means, as I mentioned in the last podcast, we're having a few changes with Lawyer Business Advantage. And Chelsea is going to be kind of co-hosting with me for the next several episodes at a minimum. So really excited to have you on the program, Chelsea. I know a lot of attorneys, but you right away stood out as someone that would be a great fit. And you said yes. So really excited
Yes,
you're here. Thank you for carving out some time to hang out with me today.
of
Um,
course.
I think our attorney entrepreneurs would love to hear about why you're doing this because you are a full-time lawyer. You've got a young one at home. You have a lot going on in your life, but you're taking some time to do this podcast. Why is that?
Yeah, I just feel like so many lawyers get caught up in that typical lawyer hustle, forgetting that having a successful law firm is really about finding balance and running a business. And you can still be a lawyer, but you have to run a business. And doing that successfully benefits you, your family, and your clients. And when I talk to other lawyers, the biggest thing that I find either they're not talking about or they maybe are a little secretive about, maybe not as much transparency. So they don't want to talk about what's going on in their business. They're either embarrassed or wanting to keep an advantage. I don't know what that is. I don't feel that way. I just feel like lawyers need a safe place to talk about what's going on in their business, how to make them more successful, serve their clients better. And it's something that I'm constantly wanting to learn more about, talk more about, and hear what other people are doing. So this is kind of the perfect environment for me to do that both personally, but also share all the things that I've learned along the way.
And you are certainly someone who works hard and plays hard. You have quite the schedule. So just share with us, if you will, because a lot of people that are listening want to kind of know that, yeah, Chelsea practices what she preaches. So share with us what a typical week looks like for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my office is a little bit of a commute from where I live. So, I only go into the office about 3 days a week. I go in the office Tuesday through Thursday, and I have a pretty typical 9 to 5 schedule. No earlier than that usually, and no later than that. Mondays I work from home, and then Fridays, my business partner and I pretty much take off from client work unless there's some deadline. But that's our admin day. That is our kind of business focused day. And those are my kind of 9 to 5-ish hours. And I time block my schedule so that I'm working on casework, I'm working on business and different topics each day to make sure I can get it done so that I can have plenty of time to get up in the morning. I work out very early and it's a priority to me. I do not sacrifice that time for anything. I have time in which I can volunteer in my daughter's classroom. She's in preschool. She's 2.5, so it's not, too much labor intensive, but I want to be there. And there's no reason that a lawyer and business owner can't do those things. My husband and I travel a lot and we're constantly doing family things on the weekend. So I've got to make my schedule Monday through Friday work for me and be enough time to fit in all of those things. And I very rarely have to bleed into a 6 p.m. Work event during the week. And very rarely am I ever doing work on the weekend. And that's just a boundary I've set for myself, which has caused me to have to put in a little bit more effort to time block my schedule during the week so that I don't have to sacrifice any time living a very, very full life. But you got to put in the work and make the schedule work for you. And what works for me doesn't for everyone. I know lots of people who don't like to get up at 5:30 or 5 in the morning to work out early, but it works for me so I can have all the other things that I want.
Yeah, I think the important thing there is you set those boundaries, whatever they happen to be. For some
Mhm.
people, it may be like you, maybe early risers. Other people may prefer to take, their afternoons,
Yeah.
or the evenings, whatever happens to work best for them, but they're making time for their health. They're making time for their family. They're making time for themselves, and of course, for their employees at their firm and their clients. And it's not an easy balancing act to do. I always think that the easiest course of action is to simply not control it and to just kind of let everything, come at you and to be totally reactive all day long, all week long. Um, it's much harder to put boundaries in place, isn't it?
Yeah, and it is at the start, meaning when I started um, communicating with my staff and saying, hey, I'm only available for consultations during these times during the week. I'm only available for mediation clients these days during the week. And here's where I'm going to be doing drafting time. Here's when I'm going to be doing education and research. And my staff knows they don't infringe on those times unless I give them specific approval. And lawyers will understand you've got to have some flexibility because we've got clients that have time sensitive issues sometimes. So it's not a perfect science for what we do, but if you can hold the boundary and make it work for you and just stick with it long enough, it becomes so much easier, not only on you, but depending on the format of your practice. If you have a solo practice or maybe you just have one admin, I happen to be supported by many admin and other associates. They respect that, and everybody's more efficient because they're not bothering people during particular times when they're marked out. So, yes, it's very, very hard to implement it, but communicating it and sticking with it is way easier than just kind of seeing how the day goes.
Yeah, and it does take some effort. If this is a new skill for you, establishing boundaries, it's going to take some time. It's going to take some effort. It's not going to be perfect. It's going to be a little messy to begin with. Um,
Yeah.
and the biggest thing that I could share with you, and Chelsea, jump in here too, it really is a mindset shift in terms of how you think about your time. You have to be a little selfish here and think that your time is your own. It's your most precious asset. You can't get any more of it. Once it's gone forever, and you can't save it up. So really, what you have to do is manage that most precious asset in the best possible way that you can. And that starts by taking control of your time. Great things to do are things like saying no
Mm.
or closing your door, and then following that up. Because when you close your door, if they're not used to it, your staff's going to knock on the door and open it. Or sometimes they won't even knock. They'll just open it and walk in. And you have to be able to put your foot down and say, you know what? That door is closed. It means I'm busy. I know that's new. I'm going to put a sign out front and tape it to my door.
I have a sign. I have a door sign that I hang and it says, do not disturb or please knock and come, like, please knock. And it seems silly when you're in an office and, they can message me or, they can book time on my calendar. But sometimes it's not so much about messaging or I just need to close my door because I've got a thought and I got to get it down now. So if somebody comes in, and this is kind of a running joke with my partner and I, because I definitely, if somebody comes in at the wrong time, they get a face from me where it looks like I want to smack them because I'm not great. And I know this about myself. I'm not great at shifting my mind in the moment when I'm kind of thinking about a case related issue or drafting part of something, either an email or one of my clients' declaration. When I'm in it, my brain gets kind of trapped in a little world. And when someone disturbs that, it can really derail my thought process. And so it's not the end of the world most of the time. But for me, I know where I thrive, and helping set those boundaries and communicate with my staff not only makes me better at my job for my clients, it also puts me in a role to be a better manager for my team because they can set those boundaries and are empowered to do the same thing. When I'm messaging a team member and I'm not getting an answer back, and then I can look at the calendar and say, oh, they've marked themselves out to draft. I know why my associate's not answering me. Just because they're my associate, my employee, doesn't mean they're at my beck and call. They have a job to do. And if they set those boundaries for themselves, that means they're doing a better job for my business and clients. So doing it for myself also helps, I think, the team know you're allowed to do your job the way you need to. If I didn't trust them to do that, why are they working for me, right? And my team started to do the same thing, block out on their calendar And it's just all about having that communication so that we can be better, but also more relaxed. Because once I'm done with the task and I can say, I can open my door, everyone's like, oh, she's available for chatting now. And we're all in a good headspace. So it's really, really been empowering. I only implemented the significant time blocking, and we can probably dive into this. This is a whole, I could probably do
This is a whole thing.
a whole episode about time blocking your calendars as a lawyer, but I only really implemented this heavy duty either last 6 months of the year, and it just helps my day look the same every week. Every day is a little bit different, but every week is the same. So it's predictable. There's no surprises unless I've been asked. It's just, I don't know. I think it's an easy way to make your life a little bit more organized,
Yeah,
and
it
build
can
in
be.
flexibility at the same time.
And by the way, there's no one way to do this. Like Chelsea,
No.
I'm pretty sure I know how you time block, and the way I time block is completely different.
Oh
So
yeah.
so it's going to be different from person to person, but what's important is that it works for you. Like I had a
Yeah.
client, this was I think last year, and he's a business transaction attorney. We were trying to get his billables up. We were trying time blocking. We were trying, you know, contemporaneous time entry. We were trying all sorts of stuff. We were
Mm.
finally able to, in 1 month, increase his billables by 40%. You know what we did?
Wow.
Really, really simple. Made him close his door, number one. Number two, made him close his email when he was working, drafting a document.
Oh yeah.
And number three was put his phone on do not disturb. You know how you got the controls you can put on so it doesn't even ring. Because like you, he was single tracking on some pretty sophisticated issues, and he needed time and headspace to like think about the issue and then draft it thoughtfully and do what he had to
Yeah.
do. And he wasn't able to do it because he was getting interrupted literally every 15 to 20 minutes. Someone else would walk in. And it takes you 15 to 20 minutes just to wrap your arms around whatever issue it is you're dealing with. And so he never had time to actually get any headway on his billable. So we implemented those things. His bill was shot up by 40%, like overnight. It was it was pretty cool.
Those are really easy things too. The other thing I always throw on is even away messages for both inside my a different one maybe inside my organization and a different one for everyone else. If I have a day where I know I need to draft a lot and I'm going to be less responsive, I put away messages on, and it also helps at least dodge that feeling of feeling like you need to respond to everybody right away. I definitely struggle with wanting to be that like quick responding lawyer so clients feel supported. When we're in family law, that's kind of the clients really feel like they need that
Yeah.
support system. And I'm not I to my detriment, I'm that way, but also clients really like it. And it's finding that balance. But I realized once I started putting away messages on and my clients just knew that I was working on other things, they started feeling like I was being responsive even when I wasn't. So many great tools like that.
That's interesting because what I've gotten from some attorneys implement it right away like you. Other attorneys don't because they're really concerned that it's going to, if a client sends an email and they get an automatic reply saying, I'm busy, that the client would feel offended or neglected. But you're saying it actually makes your clients feel good when they get that and when you
Yeah,
respond. So tell us more about that.
I've asked some of my clients because I started implementing that not every day, but if I'm in a hearing that I know is going to be the full morning or mediation that's a whole afternoon and it's going to give extended periods of time or drafting. So it's not every single day. And I also put in there, make sure you have my associate and my receptionist copied. And if I'm in those moments, my team will respond for me. So they're still gonna get an answer, but at least feel like they are in the know that, hey, I'm in a hearing. Okay, that's why maybe it's taking her 5 hours to get back to me instead of, the normal 1 or 2 sometimes that I
Yeah.
can respond to clients. And building that team out to say, hey, let them know, like if they're just asking to schedule a call and my receptionist is on there, then she just takes care of it. And now they got their answer and I didn't have to be available. Um, I don't necessarily do it unnecessarily, meaning if I know I'm doing some things, but I don't have a set timeline, I don't want to overuse it. But on the days I know I really need to buckle down, and a day like today, I'll give you an example. Friday, I'm out of the office, and my clients know every Friday with limited availability to email. And sometimes, and it even says if we have an appointment, that won't be impacted because sometimes I need to use Fridays, but always copy my staff to make sure they get a response. And that goes on Thursday evening every week. I still monitor emails and jump in when necessary, but it becomes predictable where clients are now like, oh, I know you're out Friday. Can I talk to you here? So you have to test these things out, I think, for your practice, your type of clients, but also the type of lawyer you are, meaning I knew I needed to set more boundaries because I was that. I almost use emails like text messages, which isn't always healthy. So you got to test it out a little bit.
Yeah. And this goes back to, your point about what kind of lawyer you are. I would add to that, what kind of business owner are you?
Mhm.
Because there's so many business owners, and a lot of them, are attorneys and accountants, these highly technical, skilled professions where they're really at the mercy of their clients and they're at the mercy of their business, and their clients run them ragged, their employees run them ragged,
Uh,
business demands run them ragged, and they sacrifice so much. They sacrifice their family time, they sacrifice their personal health. They're usually not making what they deserve, so they sacrifice some income, and it's just a really sad situation. And
yeah.
the worst part about it, in my mind, a big tragedy there is it doesn't have to be that way totally. It starts by flipping a switch mentally, saying that, you know what? My time is most important. I'm going to protect my time and I'm going to invest my time where I want to invest it, not where other people are telling me they want me to put my time in, right? And I think that goes back to a lot of the boundary setting conversations that we're having today.
Yeah, you have to think about any kind of business, right? Often I get some clients asking to meet during lunch hour or earlier in the morning or after 5 because they work. And I always find that to be funny and I say, "Yeah, me too." Right? Those are my hours. I have to go to doctor's appointments during work hours, often dentist appointments. If I need to go to a store that closes or whatever it is, we set our hours for a reason, and we all have to find that balance in life. And occasionally, in the right time for the right circumstance, I can make exceptions when I feel like I want to. But they when I get pushback from a client that kind of feels entitled to my time, usually I know that's not going to be a good client for me because they don't just feel entitled to my time, they are going to feel entitled to many other things along the way. And I get, lawyers charge a lot of money and their expectations are high for it, but we don't, our hourly rate isn't set because we're just endlessly available. It's set for all the experience and services we can provide, but we can still do that between the hours of 9 and 5.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, the missing link that some lawyers and business owners forget.
The other part of that is that as an attorney, I don't think, and please check me on this, Chelsea, I don't think an attorney is going to be at their best if they're working 24/7. Like, I think
No.
if they work regular business hours, they take care of their health, they're happy with their personal life, that's when they do their best work, right?
Yeah, I mean, I know that about myself, and this kind of goes back to the fact of why I get up early. I am much more productive like before 3 p.m. I get up early, I do sometimes I'll answer emails at like 6 a.m. and just program them to send at 9 a.m. so that I've done some work when I'm energized in the morning and before my daughter gets up. And then I can have a little bit more slow morning to get going because I know when I sit down at my desk at about 9 o'clock, I've already kind of handled some of the things that I wanted to and I can focus. Um, because I know that the last 2 hours of my day, usually from about 3 to 5, I don't want to be bogged down with the hard stuff. I want to be able to just do check in with my staff. So you have to know what works for you. There's plenty of people who I know do like their office is open till like 7 and they kind of, you know, um, stagger their staff in a way because they don't really get going until like 11. That's great if you know that about yourself. And then you can be available for when you want to be available. And you're going to be the lawyer for the people who, want that after hours time. There's just such a good combination for whatever your hours are. If I could make my hours, well, depending on, my daughter, because I like to be here in the morning, but if I could make my hours technically like 7 to 3, I feel like I'd be the most productive. But that doesn't work for everybody. And I also like having some, mellow time in the afternoon to do the things that don't require my brain to be as sharp.
Exactly. Most of us are really, really sharp when we wake up in the morning, and then it's all generally downhill from there.
Oh, yeah,
Which is why when I hear about attorneys working, late at night, for some it works well, but for some they're just on fumes. And
totally.
It's not good.
Totally.
Speaking of working too hard, just want to put in a quick shout out to our sponsor, Counsel CPAs. So if you're an attorney and you've got you're not, you're behind on collections, clients owe you money, or you don't have a good bookkeeper, or your CPA is not getting it done for you. Counsel CPAs just focuses on lawyers. They work with attorneys all across the country and law firms all across the country. They're fantastic, and we're proud to have them as a sponsor for the podcast. Chelsea, this has been awesome. How'd this go for you today?
Oh, I love it. I mean, I just, and I think you know this a little bit about me because we talk a lot about, business aspects and how I view law firms. There's just so much that law firm business owners can do to maximize their lives in a way that makes burnout less likely, that I feel like sometimes they're just unwilling to do. And so when we sit here and talk about it, I go, look, I'm not perfect, and there's people that do all sorts of things better than I do, but I'm also not burning out on the job because I am trying to tweak it so that everybody, including my staff, like showing up every day, and I still like showing up every day. So, you know me, I could talk about this stuff all day long. And so I just can't wait to hear from more people and share a little bit about my experience and even learn, you know, tips and tricks that I need to start checking for my practice because, no office is created the same. And no, because no lawyer is the same, no practice is the same. Types of law require different stuff. So I love talking about this stuff. I have a lot of fun.
Awesome. I did too. We're going to do this again. And attorney entrepreneurs, if you're listening, it's the start of a new year. If you are ready to make some of these changes, if you're ready to establish some boundaries, we can help. So reach out to Law Firm Success Group. That's what we do with our clients all day long, and we love doing it. So Chelsea, love having you on the show. Thank you very much, everyone. That's Chelsea Pagan with Hepner and Pagan. My name is Alay Yajnik with Law Firm Success Group. Thanks for listening. And that's a wrap for this episode of the Lawyer Business Advantage podcast. One thing that would really help both us and other new potential listeners is for you to rate this show and leave a comment in iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you tune in to listen. And I want to hear from you, so connect with me on LinkedIn and let me know what you think of this episode. And if you are a solo or an owner of a small law firm, and you're looking to earn more money, attract better clients, or reduce your stress, we would love to talk with you to see how we can help. Request your free law firm assessment by visiting lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. Again, that URL is lawfirmsuccessgroup.com. We look forward to talking with you soon. Thank you for listening. My name is Alay Yajnik. Until next time, remember, you can seize freedom. You can embrace happiness. You can build your perfect practice.